Have you ever tried to just sit in, like, total silence only to find your brain completely screaming at you?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
It is, it's never actually silent.
Right. It's just endless anxieties or, 3-year-old arguments you're still trying to win in the shower,
Yeah.
and a mental checklist of, like, 100 unread emails.
Yeah, you sit down to relax, but instead you are just trapped in this exhausting, constant debate about what is right and what is wrong with the world.
Exactly. But, you are definitely not alone in that. Today, we are doing a deep dive into a really radical philosophical text that claims this mental clutter isn't just, like, annoying, it's actually a literal disease.
And the cure for it is, well, it's intense. The cure requires you to basically violently tear down everything you think is true.
Yeah, so we carry so much mental baggage that we operate in a constant state of exhaustion.
We really do. The text we're exploring today is an English translation of Intermediate Cultivation. It's by a writer named Feng, and it was edited by Yu. And it argues that our baseline assumptions about reality, morality, and even biology are the exact things making us sick. It offers a path to what it calls the universal spirit. But getting there is this incredibly uncomfortable exercise in questioning literally everything.
Okay, let's unpack this. Because uncomfortable feels like a massive understatement here.
Oh, for sure. The author frames our whole existence as this war between two states. You have commotion on one side and tranquility on the other.
And we are pretty much entirely consumed by commotion, right? I mean, chasing sensual pleasures, material wealth, power struggles.
Office politics, all of it.
Yeah.
Yes. And the claim is that all this noise just breeds absolute foolishness. It completely blinds us to how the universe actually operates.
Which is a profound kind of blindness when you think about it.
Right. The text states that the heart is the master of the body. It is the commander of the spirit. So when the heart races after all that commotion, the spirit just gets totally unsettled.
And that is what the author refers to as the disease of the heart.
Exactly. I mean, you can find a pill or some treatment for 100 different physical diseases, but curing a chaotic mind, that requires a total systemic overhaul.
Yeah, and to begin rectifying that, the text actually proposes this very specific sequential reading journey, which I found fascinating.
It is really specific. You are instructed to start with the Bible to clarify things. Then you move to Buddhist scriptures to grasp principles.
Okay, so Bible, then Buddhist scriptures, what's next?
Then you read the Quran for sincerity, the Tao Te Ching for the path. And only at the very, very end of all of that do you study science.
Right, science is last?
Yes, because without that deep spiritual foundation, the text argues that science just adds to the chaos.
Which brings us to, I think, the most powerful image in this first section. The author compares the human mind to a room.
Yeah, I love this analogy. If a room is completely empty, it has infinite potential.
Right, because it's empty, it can become literally whatever you need it to be. A study, a bedroom, a prison, a gym, a kitchen, whatever.
But if it is stuffed to the ceiling with junk, it becomes entirely useless. And that junk represents all of our prejudices and preconceptions.
It's just a junkyard where nothing new can actually be built.
And the text does not suggest just, lightly tidying up this room either. It demands you aggressively tear out the junk.
Even if it's bolted down.
Exactly. The author explicitly states that even if your preconceptions are reinforced with steel and concrete, you must make the violent effort to tear them down.
Because if you don't, you just become more stubborn.
Right. The less people understand these underlying principles, the more stubborn and cruel they become. They distance themselves from the Tao or the natural order, and they actually fail the patience of what the text calls the greatest creator.
I was thinking about this, and the best way I can relate this to, like, modern life is thinking about the commotion of the mind like a web browser.
Oh yeah, like having way too many tabs open.
Exactly. You have exactly 100 tabs open at the same time. You've got a spreadsheet over here, a video is just playing audio in the background somewhere.
And you can't figure out which tab the audio is coming from.
Yes. Plus endless social media feeds scrolling, and your email is constantly pinging. Experiencing tranquility isn't about just, ignoring those tabs while they secretly drain your battery.
Right. It's the ruthless process of actively closing every single one. So the operating system, your brain, actually has the memory to function.
Yeah.
And the text pushes that even further. It is not just about closing the tabs. It is about questioning why you ever open them to begin with.
Yeah, there's a really fascinating observation here that true humility is usually found in great scientists, hidden sages, and surprisingly, even certain billionaires.
Because the more these individuals understand about the vastness of the universe, the more they realize how utterly empty their mental room needs to be to absorb it all.
So, okay, if we're supposed to be tearing out this heavy steel-reinforced furniture in our mental rooms, what is the very first thing to go?
Well, the author definitely doesn't start small. The text takes direct aim at globally accepted scientific paradigms, specifically the theory of evolution.
Now, just to be crystal clear for you listening, we are not endorsing these views, and we are definitely not here to debate biology.
No, not at all.
Our goal for this deep dive is to impartially report on the source material. We just want to show how this author aggressively tests our psychological attachment to, facts.
Right. And the claim made in the text is that evolution is a fallacy, or at best, only happens within the exact same species.
The imagery they use is intentionally blunt, isn't it?
Very blunt. The author states that rabbits will not evolve into horses, snails will not become cattle, and monkeys, no matter how much time passes, will not become humans.
They even say humans won't suddenly grow eyes on the back of their heads, right?
Yes, or wings on their backs. And to bolster this stance, the text selectively pulls quotes from major evolutionary figures.
Like Charles Darwin.
Exactly. Darwin is quoted talking about life being originally breathed by the Creator. And even the evolutionary biologist Richard Dawkins is cited, saying his book, The Selfish Gene, should be read almost as though it were science fiction.
And then the section even caps off with a quote from Mao Zedong. He says, the spread of fallacies misleads people a lot.
Yeah.
But, are we supposed to take this literal denial of biology at face value? It just feels so jarring. Or is the author intentionally using a concept as universally accepted as evolution to just forcibly rip us out of our intellectual comfort zones?
What's fascinating here is exactly that psychological mechanism at play. Because when you encounter that section, you likely feel a spike of defensive anger, right? Or dismissal, or superiority.
Oh, for sure. You immediately want to push back.
But that feeling, that defensiveness, that is the mental junk the author is talking about. Whether the argument is meant to be literal or purely metaphorical, the function is the same.
It demands that you be willing to throw out your most concrete, foundational truths.
Exactly. If your room is packed solid with unshakable doctrines, even scientific ones, it literally has zero capacity to accommodate new, unimaginable realities.
Okay, so if our physical reality is entirely up for debate, what happens to our internal compass? Because the text moves right from breaking down science to breaking down how we treat each other.
It interrogates the very definition of help and kindness. And it does this through a highly engaging Socratic dialogue between the author and a friend.
Yeah, they debate what actually constitutes a good deed. And the friend offers a pretty standard, comfortable definition, right? Like, kindness means helping the poor and the weak without harming society.
Which sounds perfectly reasonable. But the author immediately presents a scenario. Suppose you find a very poor, brilliant high schooler and you get them a job.
Right. It immediately solves their family's urgent financial crisis.
And the friend totally agrees this is an act of kindness. But the author points out that by trapping them in this immediate job, you just ruin their chance to attend college and secure a vastly better future.
Which, that exposes a really profound flaw in human psychology. We are biologically wired to favor short-term, visible relief over long-term abstract growth.
We really are.
We want to see the immediate smile on the kid's face. We want to feel good about ourselves, even if we are quietly sabotaging their potential 20 years down the line.
And then this brings the dialogue to a much larger geopolitical scale. The friend argues that helping the powerful is inherently bad. You shouldn't help dictators like Hitler or wealthy capitalists.
But the author counters with a historical dilemma, right? What about helping the powerful Qin state unify China during the Warring States period?
Yes, it was a brutal, bloody conquest. But it ultimately ended a century of frequent, devastating wars.
Allowing generations of common people to finally live without constant conflict.
Exactly. Or they apply it to the modern day. What if helping the United States unify the entire globe, establish a single currency, and eliminate all international military disputes was an option?
And the friend is just overwhelmed by the complexity of that. He just laughs it off and calls it a complicated political issue.
Because admitting the truth there is terrifying.
It really is. And it leads right into the author's next example. So a British capitalist builds a shoe factory in a remote African region where people have no shoes.
And the friend immediately identifies this as capitalist exploitation.
Right. But the author argues that this factory brings roads, language, wages, and connects the region to a broader civilization.
So the question becomes, is helping that capitalist a good act or a bad act?
There is a very dangerous slippery slope here. I mean, is the text arguing that the greater good can actively look like oppression or colonialism in the short term?
It's forcing us to acknowledge that our moral judgments are incredibly short-sighted. We judge an action by its immediate appearance rather than its ultimate cosmic ripple effect.
Wow.
Yeah, the text isn't handing a blank check to tyrants. Rather, it is demonstrating that our binary labels of good and evil are just totally insufficient for navigating reality.
Which culminates in this profound philosophical concept the friend eventually arrives at. The greatest benevolence appears indifferent. The greatest goodness appears evil. So the friend concedes that global politics and economics are just too murky to judge. But he desperately tries to find one solid rule to hold on to.
He has to have something.
Right. He declares that no matter what the context is, killing is always evil. He thinks he has finally found the absolute bottom floor of human morality.
And the author just proceeds to drill right through that floor using these really visceral life or death scenarios.
Yeah, like the military squad one. Imagine a 9-person military squad deep behind enemy lines. One soldier is critically wounded and cannot walk.
If left behind, the enemy will capture him, torture him to death, and under that torture, he will likely reveal the squad's plans, ensuring the deaths of his 8 comrades.
So the squad leader shoots his own wounded comrade to prevent this. Is that killing evil?
Or consider a terminally ill old man in excruciating pain who is given a lethal injection with his family's full consent.
The friend's rigid moral framework just completely collapses under the weight of these questions. He is visibly distressed in the text.
He really is. And the way the text breaks this tension is honestly almost comedic.
It is, because right then, his brother suddenly walks into the room carrying a bowl of braised pork.
The timing is just perfect. The friend sees the pork, lets out a massive sigh of relief, and declares eating meat should always be good.
He pops a piece of pork into his mouth, desperately trying to compartmentalize his morality into a safe, comfortable box.
But here's where it gets really interesting. The author, watching him chew, casually asks, "What about eating human flesh?"
And the friend nearly chokes. He argues that human flesh is utterly inhumane because humans are sentient, they feel pain, and they have complex emotions.
But the author pushes further. What about dog meat? Dogs are intensely loyal, they guard our homes, they even avenge their masters.
So the friend squints and concedes that, okay, maybe eating dog meat is bad. But when pushed on eating horses, cows, or chickens, he gets defensive.
Right, he desperately shifts the blame, claiming the slaughterer is cruel, the eater is innocent.
Which is a stunning display of cognitive dissonance.
It really is. The author points out the absolute absurdity of this defense. It is the exact equivalent of saying the people who manufacture missiles are cruel, but the people who fire those missiles are completely innocent.
You have a guy trying to define universal kindness while simultaneously chewing on a piece of pork.
Just adjusting his moral boundaries in real time, based entirely on his personal comfort and appetite.
It perfectly illustrates how arbitrary our preconceptions are. We just draw the line wherever it's most convenient for us.
Exactly. And the text even dismantles concepts we universally praise, like diligence. We assume hard work is an absolute virtue.
But the author notes that ants are diligent but naive. Bees are diligent but foolish.
Gold diggers are incredibly diligent, yet their relentless effort strips green grasslands and turns them into dead deserts.
Even a diligent farmer might pour their soul into a field, only to stand at the edge crying in heartbreak after a heavy rain floods the entire crop.
Because blind effort, without an understanding of the larger natural flow, just generates suffering. The goal of all these jarring examples, the evolution denial, the factory, the Murphy killing the pork, is to prove that prejudice always misleads us.
We need a mind vast enough to accommodate what the author beautifully calls thousands of rivers, thousands of mountains, and all things.
Yeah.
But, okay, let's pause here. If science is questionable, if kindness is a labyrinth, if morality is arbitrary, and if even hard work turns grasslands into deserts,
Right.
how are you supposed to survive a single day in this world without just completely losing your mind?
Well, the answer the text provides is to pursue a state called no mind.
No mind.
Yes. This means cultivating a mind that is entirely unshaken by dualities. It is not tossed around by joy or sorrow, right or wrong, gods or demons.
Not even pain or itch, right? Or reality and illusion.
Exactly. And to explain the mechanics of this, the author uses a really striking technological analogy. The universal spirit is described as a large broadcasting machine.
Beaming out energy and information constantly to every corner of the universe.
Yes, and the human heart, meanwhile, is a small receiving machine.
Let's bring back our browser analogy for a second. If your brain is the computer, the universal spirit is basically the Wi-Fi signal.
That's a great way to put it.
Mm.
But the text says if the human heart is impure polluted by greed, fighting, deception, disrespecting your parents.
Or even just harboring ambiguous thoughts, the receiver gets rusty.
Right. You are trying to download the universe's instructions, but you only pick up intermittent signals full of static. Your life becomes completely unpredictable and chaotic.
So to repair that rusty receiver and reach no mind, the text points to a Taoist poem called The Song of No Mind, translated by Thomas Cleary.
Yes, the poem suggests the mind should act like a stubborn fool. When hungry, eat. When tired, sleep.
It does not waste energy hating ugliness or admiring beauty. It responds only when it is directly stimulated.
And the most haunting line is this: life and death, honor and disgrace are but travelers' inns. You visit them and you leave.
Wait, so after this intense, violent deconstruction of everything we believe, the ultimate answer is just to eat when you're hungry and sleep when you're tired.
Pretty much.
Are we supposed to be walking through life as emotionless robots?
Well, this raises an important question, because it is incredibly easy to mistake the concept of no mind for apathy or numbness.
Right.
But the text isn't advocating for a lack of feeling. It is advocating for absolute non-attachment. The author compares the ideal mind to the moon and water.
Oh, I loved that part.
It is light, it perfectly reflects everything happening around it, but it remains entirely unstained by the water.
There is another gorgeous image they use that clarifies this beautifully. They describe the mind as wind blowing through sparse bamboo.
Yes.
When the wind blows, the bamboo moves and makes a sound. It reacts to the environment. But once the wind has passed, the bamboo does not retain the sound.
So keeping the browser clean doesn't mean you smash the computer. It means you process the universe's signals in real time.
You experience the joy, the sorrow, the pain, or the pleasure, but you do not let it build a home in your empty room.
Exactly. You let it pass through. You act when compelled by your circumstances, but you stop generating endless mental commotion trying to control the things you cannot control.
To bring this all together, the journey we've been on today started by recognizing our minds as noisy, cluttered rooms filled with useless junk.
And the text challenged us to violently tear down those preconceptions.
It pushed us to test our psychological attachment to scientific paradigms, broke down our cozy, hypocritical definitions of kindness,
And highlighted the sheer cognitive dissonance of mourning human life while casually eating a bowl of braised pork.
all with the ultimate goal of scrubbing the rust off our internal receivers so we can tune into the universal broadcast without static, to become like the wind passing through the bamboo.
Beautifully said.
Which leaves us with a final, lingering question for you to mull over today. The text strongly advocates for a mind that is perfectly even. A mind unbothered by joy or sorrow, responding only when compelled, treating life, death, and honor simply like a traveler passing through an inn.
Right.
But if you actually manage to do that, if you completely strip away all of your prejudices, your passionate attachments, your rigid beliefs, and your frantic scrambling for what you think is right and wrong, do you achieve divine tranquility? Or do you lose the very friction that makes the human experience so incredibly beautiful? Thank you for joining us on this deep dive. Stay curious, keep questioning the furniture in your mental room, and we will see you next time.